Okay, welcome. Welcome everyone to Consciousness and Living Peace. We're so pleased to have you this evening. I've just had the pleasure of talking with a few of you before the class got started. We've been on for about 15 minutes chatting, some of us, and really pleased to hear that so many people are coming back for multiple of these teleclasses. This is, oh gosh, I don't know, what is this, about our fifth one, and we're really pleased, humbled, honored, and extremely excited by the response. We've had around 700 people sign up for this teleclass series, and we're all here because we feel that purpose and that calling to share and to give in this way, and it's really quite fulfilling and an honor when all of you show up on these calls and you bring your hearts, you bring your souls, you bring your questions, and so thank you for being here. Thank you for taking your time to be here, because I do honestly, I know that there's a lot of things that come up for us, and sometimes it's challenging to make the time and to figure out which of the many things that pass through your inbox you're going to say yes to. So thank you for saying yes to this tonight. I want to introduce to you Dr. John Abd Davies. Abd is his spiritual name given to him by our guide, Sheikh Muhammad al-Jamal of the Shadaliya Sufi order. My name is Mestora, by the way, and I'm your host tonight, but Abd is going to be speaking to you about consciousness and living peace. And if I didn't say that already, I invited on the email, if you got the reminder email today, or I guess that wasn't the reminder, the registration email today, I said to bring your tough questions to Abd because he is a true, I'm going to call you a master, Abd. I mean, the experience, I'll read you a little bit about his experience, his background, but if there is anyone who knows this topic, he's been for 25 years in this field. He's led peace initiatives in over 30 countries. He's conducted groundbreaking research on the impact of spiritual practices on consciousness and peace at all levels of society. He co-leads our Masters in Peacemaking program at the University of Spiritual Healing and Sufism. He's co-directed the Peace Building program at the University of Maryland Center for International Development Conflict Management. He's worked with people from around the world at all levels. And I am just going to, I want to say, just on a personal level, I have had the honor of knowing Abd and his wife Jamila, who is also on the line, for a number of years. And, you ever meet somebody and you just feel like, wow, I feel blessed to be able to know this person and, to have shared some of my little bit of my life journey with somebody who really, he's done a lot on the professional level. He's got a lot of letters after his name. And he has, he's practiced law and psychology, and he's taught meditation. He's brought them all together. He's, partnered in conflict transformation and peace building initiatives around the world. He's trained thousands of professionals in conflict transformation, prevention, and multi-track diplomacy. He's worked with political leaders, diplomats, UN peacekeepers, police, educators, religious and traditional and civil society leaders. He has done an amazing amount of work in some situations that, some of us would only dream about being able to make a change and make a difference in. And if you've ever met him in person and been with him, and I've had the honor of being with them at their house and, sharing a meal, hanging out, and, of course, in the spiritual gatherings as well, he truly embodies it to the bone. You can feel it when you're with him. and you just know this is a man of peace. It's not just something that he explores or teaches about. He really embodies it. It's more than lives it. It's who he is. And so I feel really honored to be a part of this class tonight and to get to introduce him as well as to learn from him while we're on this conference. So thank you, al-Qadir, and I will stop talking now and pass it over to you.
Alhamdulillah, thanks, Master. Just you have to say the feeling is mutual. It's really a blessing and an honor to be sharing these years of our life journey together with you. So thank you for your generous introduction, and really appreciate the work you do to support these classes and to really open the door for people to go into topics that they wouldn't be able to access otherwise. So I'm not going to talk so much about the international work tonight, because I think that the most immediate starting point for anyone who's interested in peace, whether in the world or in their country or their community or their family or their own lives, their own heart, is to be able to start with themselves and the immediate situations that they find themselves in that leave us yearning for peace and yearning for a way through the difficulties that might be thrown up before us. So I've been a spiritual seeker for at least 40 years, as well as a peacemaker and social scientist during that time, and stepped onto the Sufi path with Sidi al-Jamal just 14 years ago. But Sufism for me has really been a fulfillment of my search for a path that really opens the heart and soul to experience the beauty of God's love and God's peace. Not just in the private meditative prayers of the night or the early morning, but also in practical daily living. From deepening love in my family, with my wife, the intimacy with friends and extended family, partners that I work with, opening up a much deeper level of connection, intimate connection with people, very important to me, that God puts in front of me as part of my journey. And so it's been a gift for me to be able to work with people and help inspire people who are caught in violence or oppression or difficulty at any level to begin to make the changes that are needed for them to live peace and to bring that peace into their families and communities. So my goals for tonight are first to offer a sketch, an outline of the Sufi path to God, to Allah, what they call the way of the love, as an expansion and deepening of our consciousness, which is fulfilled in experiencing ourselves as being at peace, living peace with all that is, with no divisions, no blame, no other that is truly separate from ourselves. This, I know in one of the earlier classes you spent some time in learning remembrance using La ilaha illallah as a focus. And a deeper meaning of this phrase is that there is no one, only Allah, only the divine oneness, who is the source of love and source of peace and compassion and fulfillment in our lives. So, and our lives themselves, of course, are sourced in God. And we are mirrors of Him. He creates us putting His qualities, His divine qualities, His love, His mercy, His peace, His wisdom, His strength in us. But we lose those deeper qualities that are our birthright, because the heart as mirror of the divine needs to be cleaned in order for us to be able to recognize again who we are. And the second goal for tonight is to be able to share some practices that can support our journey deeply and help us to recover peace in our heart, peace in our families, when we've been caught in separation and difficulty. So I pray that I speak with you in a way that is pleasing to Allah, and I encourage you to listen with an open heart so that you can take something home with you that will allow you to get clear on practical action steps that will allow you to make real changes in your life. You know, the real test of learning is, does it change our lives? And so I really want you to listen with that in mind. How do I receive whatever gift is there for me in tonight's discussion, and really translate that into opening up my life more deeply, to being able to live peace at a time where it seems like the world is erupting in new levels of violence and instability. So it's a plea from my heart for you to really look for how can you take home what you've learned. So I'll leave some time at the end of the session today for questions and discussion after we switch off the recording, so that there'll be time when you can ask questions without feeling that you're perpetuating whatever it is you have to say for the world to hear. And we can take it in whatever direction you feel will be helpful to you. Given the number of people on the call or who'll be listening to the recording afterward, if there are any questions you have that don't get answered at the end of the session, by the end of the session, then you're very welcome to contact me direct. And you can do that by email, which is, my email address is JAQ, that's for John Abd Davies, JAQ Davies, DAVIES, @gmail.com. And my personal cell phone is 240-441-8712. That's 240-441-8712. So I really want to open the door to be able to help you integrate whatever it is that lights up for you tonight, and take it home with you, and to follow up if you're left with any questions open or any confusion over what's being shared and its relevance to your life. So, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. If the reality is, as we understand in the Sufi tradition, that we're each created as faces or mirrors of the divine, reflections of divine love, divine beauty, truth, wisdom, mercy, peace, and holiness from Allah, then what happened? Where do we go wrong? Why aren't those things dominant and fully expressed in our lives? The answer to that is not original sin. We weren't created as bad people in some way. We were created as beauty. We were created as glorious reflections of divine love and divine peace. And when we have the divine qualities, and we have the capacity to remember Allah, to connect with Him. But that comes with also the gift of freedom. Freedom to be able to choose our actions, to choose whether to turn to Allah, to choose whether to follow His guidance, and to choose whether and how to learn from the consequences of our right and wrong actions. So, there are four worlds or four realities, four ways of understanding who we are in relation to the world. And these four worlds really are a way of mapping the journey, our life journey. Ultimately, our journey to discover and walk with and within the divine reality of Allah. And I'm going to use the word Allah and God interchangeably. Allah is the Arabic for God. It also has other implications. It implies the one God. It implies the God which contains and resolves opposites. It implies the one who creates and sustains and calls us to Him to complete our and fulfill our lives. The first of these worlds, not the first of these worlds historically, because we start from the world of Allah. If we really want to understand deeply the inner dynamics of the universe. But from the perspective of our conscious spiritual journey, we start from the conventional world, the world of the ego mind, or in Arabic, the nafs, N-A-F-S. Nafs, usually translated as self. The nafs al-amara is this first world, and the nafs al-amara translates as the commanding nafs. The nafs who likes to be in control and to manipulate everything around him. And this world of the ego or nafs is built up through a lifetime of effort to create safety, to create predictability and structure in our lives in order to minimize risk or vulnerability. And so the nafs is attracted to what fulfills our basic physical desires for food, possessions, money, for sex and for children, and for the power to control and manipulate our surroundings in the physical world. And particularly, the nafs is what reacts to perceived threats to our safety or to whatever we think we own. And so the nafs interprets each situation that we find ourselves in light of not just what information we get through our senses in the moment, but it looks for related patterns from past experiences and from information we have secondhand, on the basis of which we've formed beliefs about reality that guide our current and future actions. So, in other words, the world of the nafs is what we have built ourselves through a lifetime of trying to understand the life journey and the experiences that has thrown up for us. It interprets each situation and so creates a structure of beliefs or what we call pictures of reality that we find ourselves in. We call them pictures because they tend to be rigid structures. rigid sets of beliefs that surround us and really primarily work unconsciously to guide us to safety. It's most of these routines we've learned for dealing with different situations have been relegated to the autopilot in the brain, the cerebellum, that doesn't operate consciously. It just reacts and repeats familiar patterns that are judged to be relevant to a present situation, particularly if it's a threatening situation. So, for example, in the wake of being neglected as a child or blamed as a child, the belief might be, I'm a bad person. Or later in life, if we've just broken an important relationship, or we've found that a relationship has been broken by someone dear to us, we might take on the belief that boys are dangerous or girls are dangerous, depending on your point of view, or could be anything. I can't dance. Somehow finding a way of bringing meaning to what just happened. What do I need to understand from this that will help explain it? Or we might decide that God is just cruel or inaccessible, not available to help me in what I needed. These are the sorts of pictures or voices that we create from our life journey, from the earliest days of our life, even before we're born, that there are experiences in the womb that can begin to build up pictures of how the world is, positive and negative. So the pictures or voices, they're stored largely as unconscious structures that we react to, and they create thick veils, what we call in Sufism veils, to our capacity to be present and respond consciously, or to connect with others from the heart. So it creates a false or constricted reality that we live in. And these pictures or veils have to be cleaned away or drawn aside for us to be able to heal and begin to become more fully conscious, to discover who we are and our capacity to live in peace and love, to be able to consciously open the heart, to be able to consciously make use of the full capacity of our neocortex even, to allow the mind to expand into the world of the heart and the deeper intellect, intelligence that can guide us better in our journey, guide us consciously. So the help here in this world of the mass is to seek the light of guidance on how to open up our lives through reconnecting with the divine, through remembrance, and through opening and surrendering to the light of His guidance and His mercy. And this surrendering to the light of God's guidance is what is called in Arabic Islam. Okay? And it's not just restricted to Muslims. Anyone in any tradition or in their individual life journey who comes to the point where they recognize that the deepest and most profound support that they have is in their connection with the divine, connection with Allah, and opens and surrenders to the guidance from that divine light, he is in the station of Islam. We can call him, in that essential sense, a Muslim. So this is the world where we start from, okay, and the help that's available in that world in terms of the Sufi path of the love. The second world, or second reality, is what we call the world of the heart, the nas al-lawama, the self, the self who is oriented to right action, who seeks to do good and to live a good life. And so for this to be possible, we have to really open the world of the heart so that guidance comes not just from outside, but inside. Because the heart, or qalb in Arabic, is not just the pump that keeps the blood moving through the body, but it's a unique physical organ that is designed to be able to maintain the basic rhythm of our life, and in a way that nourishes every part of our body and mind and heart and soul. And it is a, your research shows that when two people are intimate with each other, I'm not just talking only physically, but also emotionally, spiritually, deeply listening to one another, deeply connecting from their heart to them, then the hearts actually tend to synchronize with each other and beat together. And once the hearts do that, brains tend to follow. So the brainwave patterns become shared. So in those moments of love and deep connection, the hearts and minds are no longer separate. They're two facets of the same reality that is created in that loving connection. So the world of the heart shifts us from identifying as a separate physical entity, moving and interacting in a world of separate entities, which is, if the world is filled with people that have no inherent connection with us, that can feel like a dangerous place. And, from that perception of separateness and danger, that we get deeply oriented towards security and predictability in the first world. In the second world, we start to open the heart again. We open ourselves to vulnerability and presence and spontaneity again. We stop protecting and armoring ourselves. We stop numbing ourselves to different habits of turning away from situations of vulnerability. And we start to wake up more deeply. The heart is a gateway to what we can think of as the spiritual heart, which is a field which is bigger than the body, and through which we connect and touch and resonate with other people and ultimately with Allah. And so it's a much bigger and more dynamic world than the world of the Nas al-Amara. That so where our sense of self shifts from the well-defended individual structure to a deeper, more illuminated, expansive self, more identified now as the flow of our life in relationship to others. We can't fully know ourselves except in relationship to others, and particularly the other of God. It gives us, or awakens our capacity for love and connection in a way that transcends the selfish desires of the first world and guides us into spontaneous right action, loving for others what we love for ourselves. So we're no longer in competition with other people, defending ourselves against other people, but we are connecting deeply with other people, loving for others what we love for ourselves, it's a huge expansion and a huge freedom that opens up in the world of the heart. The light of Iman in Arabic means faith in English, closest translation. The light of Iman is the inner knowing of the heart that allows us to begin to see past the pictures or the veils to the divine qualities in ourselves and in others, and the angelic lights that guide us from within our heart, often in response to our own prayer, whether explicit or implicit. The guidance is always there. Mercy and support and sustenance is always there. And the heart, the inward opening of the heart to Allah is what allows us to access and connect with that. So, for example, in my prayer for a true beloved in my life, the answer came in meeting Jamila. But at the time I met her, I was still deeply suspicious and defended after having had some really unpleasant breakup in my first marriage. So I was cautious and slow, but Allah was having none of it. And every time I would even pass by her, that because we're living in the same community, that every time I would pass by, the energy was so strong that came up in my heart that a dear friend of mine who lived over 1,000 miles away, every time I would make accidental or purposeful contact with Jamila, she'd call and say, "What just happened?" And without break, every time I would see her, the energy was so strong as a sign for me, pay attention. This is real. This is what you've been looking for. So, later, I was praying for guidance as I was stepping into a career, having finished my doctorate of international peacemaking. I asked Allah for guidance. Where do I go? Who do I work with? Who can I find to really help me build the skills that I need? And He showed me two faces and two names. One of whom I had met and worked with a little bit in my doctoral program, and the other one whom I'd never met, never spoken with. And it turned out that even though I couldn't find the second one, and ended up taking on a postdoctorate at the University of Maryland at the Center for International Development and Conflict Management with the first phase. As soon as I did that, the second man found me and turned up in the corridor and introduced himself. And he was actually had the next appointment behind me to ask for a position at the same center as a distinguished visiting scholar, and which eventually became a permanent appointment. So we were able to live and work together for years. It's a huge blessing. And or later, I prayed deeply for a spiritual guide who could really open my heart more deeply, to open me to divine love. And shortly after that, I'm standing in the middle of a field, and I see Sidi. I stop. I had Jamila with me, and we stopped to let him go in and address the 300 people that were waiting for him. And when we stop, he stops and walks 30 yards across the field to talk with us and to greet us with such love, even though we were complete strangers whom he had no introduction or idea of from the outside, recognizing us and opening our hearts so that with his overflowing love and answering our questions in a moment, and since then guiding our hearts ever since. So this is the world of the heart, where we are guided and and held in the light of our faith, Iman. To what action will fulfill our life, and what action will open the love between us and whoever we find in front of us in our life journey. So, third world. Moving through these pretty quickly because I want to be able to finish and have time for some practice and also some time for questions. So these are just sketches to give you a taste, a sense of what these four worlds are. So the third world, as our love continues to deepen and the veils continue to clear, we start to awaken to a far bigger world, the world of the soul, the ruh, or the nas al-Muhammad, the inspired self. And it's through this world that the worlds of the nas and the heart are created and sustained. So it's a bigger world of infinite possibility and power. And in this world, we begin to see that in our relationships, who we are loving and who loves us in each person or in each aspect of creation around us are all different reflections or facets of the same reality, what we can call the soul of God, the soul of God. That is reflected in them. They mirror the reality of God just as we do. And in connecting with them deeply, at the core of their being are the essence and the qualities of the divine. And so the core of love we start to become aware is really for God in each person that we are in relationship with. And so once we recognize we're different facets of the same soul, the separation between us just disappears. And it's a very practical sense. It disappears. Doesn't matter where they are, whether they're thousands of miles away or right in front of us. That because we're one soul, what happens for one of us happens for the other or others, particularly those who are emotionally or consciously closer to us, but not only those, everyone that we care for, either in a collective sense or an individual sense, is impacted by the changes that happen in our own soul. That, the one soul we can call the name, Allah. We can call it the prophetic light that he took from his face to create the world. Or we can call it by the name of any prophet, from Adam through to Abraham, Moses, Jesus, Muhammad. Any of these prophets lived the reality of this light, what we call the prophetic light, and became doorways for our return to the divine. So let me just read you a quote from C.D. here. This is from the book, his book, Song of the Flute of the Deep Knowing. It's page 205. C.D. says, everything has a life. And everything, right there, that statement means that everything in creation is conscious. Okay? So consciousness is the beginning and sustaining middle and end of our life journey, both as individuals and as members of the human race. So everything has life. This means it has nafs. This means a sense of self, or at the deepest level, nafs is the same as soul, ruh. So everything has life. This means it has nafs, or soul. And everything is from the first word, when Allah said be. And He sent everything into existence through the nafs, from the nafs of God, to reality of God. There is only one nafs, and she sends her light to everything. You walk, and everything walks like you walk. Everything Allah created is part of you. For that reason, Allah made you Khalifa, because Khalifa is one who takes care, is empowered or authorized, entrusted to take loving care of whatever range of authority is given. For that reason, Allah made you Khalifa, because you are Adam. You can use anything in the world, but be very careful and know how to give and know how to care for everything through walking and understanding, because everything carries the reality of Allah. Everything carries the reality of Allah. All of creation, everything, every entity, every object, every action that we see is a reflection of the divine and carries some unique form of consciousness in reflecting that divine. So, So if we're all expressions of the one soul, the soul of God, then this, as we start to become conscious of that, start to step into this bigger world of the soul, what opens is the light of gnosis, or marifa in Arabic, the capacity for insight, seeing with the inner eye, the eye of the heart, the eye of the soul, the reality around us, what is in another's heart or soul. And it opens this quality of divine insight for us. And it also allows us to live in real intimacy with Allah, really living our lives right on His doorstep. And living a life where we're conscious of Him, conscious of His presence, as if we see Him. And this is the process of insight. We can give the divine form and be able to, through spiritual insight, really become conscious of Allah's presence. And at the same time, knowing that He is present and seeing us in each moment. So in this state, there's no room for any hiding. We live our lives in the full gaze of the divine. He sees everything that we do. He feels everything that we feel. He is aware of our intentions. There's no room for manipulating impressions or looking good on the outside. The only way we can maintain love on this level is through being good on the inside, and being able to carry in our heart the highest intention, the highest qualities, the highest love. So we become completely transparent with Allah. And as others, through gnosis, become transparent to us, reflecting back to us the opening of our own heart and soul. They are mirrors not only of Allah, but each soul is a mirror of the other, for the other, to be able to show them both their beauty and their limitations. So, living life in God consciousness is what's called ihsan. Ihsan, or in Arabic, normally translated as excellence, really means the ripening of faith into the God consciousness, which is the core of Sufism. And it's through that light that we come to live in the peace of knowing the wisdom and love and patient generosity through which Allah guides us into completion. And then the last of the worlds, the fourth world, is the world of Allah Himself, the world of divine essence. And this starts to open us as even the last of the veils, what we call the veils of light, that we can be dazzled by the beauty of the higher worlds and tempted to stop with them. And they still veil us from the essential beauty of Allah Himself, the transcendent, boundless reality that is the source and support and goal of all of the worlds. And it's in this world of divine unity, or oneness, Tawheed in Arabic, that in which love is fulfilled. And love of Allah is fulfilled in stepping into a place where the boundary between the lover and the beloved is swept away. That we no longer identify ourselves with anything separate. We can only, once we appreciate the full extent of the divine essence, which is at the core of our being, then after a time, it's hard to even recover any sense of separateness from that. So that this is the full expansion of who we are. We don't lose anything of value, but we lose our sense of separateness. So in what we call the fana, or the annihilation of the separate nafs, we enter the world of the nafs al-mutma'inna, or the self in complete peace. And here, the people living in this world are called by the word itqan. This is beyond the ihsan. It's the world of the illuminated knower, one who is a true Khalifa, who accepts the responsibilities given by Allah with the generous gifts that He's given us, to be able to pass on that love to all those that are placed in our care, to be able to live and find peace with everyone, so that each can thrive and each can complete their journey. So, as we continue our spiritual journey then through these worlds, the worlds it's not a linear journey, in the sense that all four of these worlds are part of our birthright. It's what we are created with the capacity to access any and all of these worlds. It's just the degree to which we've allowed our mirror to get covered over by the protective veils of the nafs al-amara that prevent us from being able to have the freedom of movement through these different worlds, which are complementary, that they contain and support and complete each other. So the worlds we experience first through tasting, short experiences that might be just glimpses of a moment or a few seconds. And or it might come up in deep prayer or in times of need or as we discover the gifts of love and divine mercy long before they become stable realities for us. So I really want to, as you open to the possibilities that these worlds hold for you and for your journey in life, I want to urge you to be open to the present possibilities that are available in each of them. So let go any pictures that you have, any beliefs that you have that this is out of reach. Okay? There are 4 different worlds because there are different laws that operate in each of them. They're complementary, and so we might make the mistake of, as we understand one world, of assuming it's the only world, the only reality. So freedom comes from recognizing that there are several worlds, and that we have the gift of living and moving within each of them. So understanding the intimate connection among all of us, that everyone on the planet is a facet of the one soul, opens up a powerful possibilities of creating peace in our lives, on the outside as well as the inner. So it read just briefly another quote from C.D. This is from Reality of Gnosis, page 24-25. Yeah, C.D. explains that what we see in another is good or beautiful. What we see in another that is good or beautiful is from Allah, a reflection of the divine. And your perfection is in accordance with the power of your witnessing. In other words, you're seeing a perfection in another. Okay? So as we start to love and really deeply appreciate someone who's dear to us, know that that is also a reflection of the beauty that Allah has given you, that you're seeing reflected in the other. But if you see a shortcoming in the other, something that repels you in some way, that seems ugly to you, then know that it is your own shortcoming that is manifesting to you. So if you dislike a shortcoming in someone, then work to remove the equivalent of that shortcoming in yourself, and you'll not see its trace. So this is a very profound insight that comes from understanding the third world, the world of the one soul, that we constantly mirror Allah and each other all the time, so that we can, from that perspective, see the mistake that we make in the first world with the nafs of judging other people negatively as problematic, of blaming other people for the difficulties in our lives. That creates separation and limits both us, it injures our heart and theirs. And so the freedom, the huge freedom that opens up when we understand ourselves as mirrors, that all souls are deeply intrinsically connected, and that what triggers us, for example, in someone else as being something unacceptable, is actually just showing us something that we're not yet able to see in ourselves directly, that we find more easy to see in someone else. But no, the reason we're shown ugliness is in order to be able to open our eyes, to be able to see what still needs to be cleaned in our own heart. So, the guidance is that to first recognize that when Allah created you, He created beauty. You're exactly what He intended. Learning from both successes and mistakes, He made us with the capacity for choice, free choice, knowing that then we would learn more deeply and more profoundly from our freedom to make mistakes as well as to get things right. So the mistake of the nafs in the first world is to see the other or ourselves as the problem and to stop with blame. In the deeper worlds, we understand that this reflection from the other is a doorway to open our journey to go deeper, to be able to clear what has been blocking us outside of our awareness and move to make that conscious and clean it. So the first technique, I'm not going to spend time on remembrance because I know that you've had that in earlier classes in this series. So the technique that I wanted to focus on and to give you a taste of in this class is what we call Tauba. Tauba is literally the turning or opening to God. And to God is the merciful. So Tauba, often it gets translated as repentance, but this is a mistranslation. The real translation of Tauba is returning to God, turning back, opening our heart to Him, and looking to Him, to His mercy, to His guidance again, to be able to put our lives right, to be able to clean up the mess from mistakes that we've made. And so we turn to Allah for relief from past wrongdoing, from past mistakes, to be able to recognize the mistake, to learn from our mistake, and to clear the way for us to move forward and to begin afresh. So, cleaning the places where we have hurt ourselves or others in some way, fallen short of what we know we could do. So Tauba is opening the heart to be washed with the water of Allah's love, Allah's mercy, so that we're freed from blaming either ourselves or another for our difficulties. Knowing that it's always easier to see something negative or destructive in another than in ourselves. But not repeating the mistake of the master in the first world of seeing the other as the problem and stopping with blame. So rather, in Tauba, what we do is focus on our own part first. Look at how we may have contributed to any problem that we might have in relationship with someone else. Or what it is in our heart that triggered us into blaming them or reactively pushing against them or away from them. The feeling of sincere and spontaneous regret is a symptom of the healing which begins to take place as we turn back to Allah in recognition of the need to clean up from our mistakes. And so that regret is not something to avoid or to shorten or to suppress, but it's actually a symptom of healing, and so a symptom of response to our prayer for forgiveness from Allah, response to our prayer for healing. As that clears, typically what we'll feel is some level of regret for the mistake that was made. And so as we recognize that, then what happens is that regret morphs into gratitude for the clearing and for the healing. We're grateful for what's being washed away so we can move forward with our lives and make amends. Make amends where we've hurt someone. It's not just enough to be able to ask for forgiveness from God, but if we actually damaged someone else, we also need to make amends with them, to ask their forgiveness, to be able to make good what has been damaged, if something has been lost, to the extent we can. If someone has lost something irreplaceable, we can't replace it, but we can do what we can to help ease their lives. And also, to complete the Tauba, it's necessary for us to commit not to repeat the same pattern of behavior that caused the hurt. Okay? So it's important not to dwell on the mistake. Don't hold on to the regret. It's the spontaneous regret that is the symptom of the healing. So rather, let the heart open to gratitude for what's been healed and learned and move forward their lives. And we can also make tawbah not just for specific mistakes that we're conscious of, but for more general patterns or habits that in our life that we recognize are no longer really serving us, that we want to clean up, that have prevented us from loving or from living peace or any of the beautiful divine qualities in our life. Or even more fundamentally, we can make tawbah for our turning away from Allah, for disconnecting with the light that guides us and sustains us, for putting other priorities in front of Him, so that our attention and our reliance is on, for example, our work, our money, our possessions, or our reliance might be on drugs, maybe prescribed drugs, maybe addictive drugs, or other addictive habits that can provide a temporary numbing or escape or relief from pain, but not provide real healing. So, our principle is best to learn by tasting. So, in our tradition, following the Prophet Muhammad, we use the phrase Astaghfirullah al-Azim. So the first word is Astaghfir, A-S-T-A-G-H-F-I-R, Astaghfir. It means I ask forgiveness. And second word is Allah, God. And the third word is al-Azim. And al-Azim means the sublime, the magnificent, the most sublime expression of existence that you can imagine beyond that. So that the al-Azim is the reminder of whom we're turning to for forgiveness. We're returning to the one who is sublime, sublime in His love for us, in His care for us, in His compassion for us, in His sustenance for us throughout our lives. And we're turning back to Him to ask His forgiveness, knowing that He has called us to Him for the purpose of forgiveness. He looks for us to find the regret, to be able to turn to Him and to ask, to connect with Him, to ask for healing and forgiveness, so we can continue and deepen our journey. So, the steps of tawbah, and let's just run through this. It'd be good to have a piece of paper in front of you for the first couple of steps. First, think of a relationship. Identify any relationship in your life that is giving you some sort of difficulty or challenge. Whether it's a big or a small thing, doesn't matter. Just reflect and see what comes to you. Okay. Any relationship that's causing you difficulty. Maybe you're aware of something you've done wrong, maybe not. Doesn't matter. The relationship is not where you want it to be. Okay? Now, take a moment to reflect, to consider what you might have said or done or failed to say or failed to do that may have made things worse. In other words, how may you have contributed to whatever the difficulty is in that relationship? What's your part? In terms of the journey of becoming more conscious, this is always first priority. What's your part? What's your responsibility here? Okay. And if something, on the other hand, that they said or did or didn't do triggered a negative reaction or judgment from you, then reflect and see if there's something you can identify that you're still carrying in your heart that is being mirrored in what you were triggered by in the other. Okay? So if he was, or she, was angry with you, for example, where do you carry anger? Where are you hard on people? Maybe not on them, but on someone else. How are they showing you what you need to see needs to be cleaned in yourself? Okay. All right. So just pay attention to what comes as you open that door of reflection. Just what intuitively you start to become aware of that may be in your own heart that needs cleaning. Okay, so put your paper and pencil aside and find a place to sit comfortably. And just with your spine reasonably, comfortably upright, supported, and letting the soles of your feet rest on the floor. Letting the soles of your feet open to the divine support that comes to you through the earth. Open your base. Let yourself be held in Allah's love, the womb of Allah's mercy and protection. And open your belly, your solar plexus, your heart, to the divine presence. Okay. Not displacing necessarily the reflection or the thought that you had about the relationship or about what needs to be cleaned in your own heart. Just letting that be there as you invite in the divine presence to fill your heart. Right from the crown of your head, around your front and back body, right down to your feet. Let that space open your spiritual heart to the divine presence, as if you see him. Just recognize, even if you don't see him, that he's present, closer than you can imagine, seeing you, holding you, calling you to open your heart to him for healing. So, okay, as you open your heart, then you can say after me, Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Just repeat it aloud but quietly. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Letting go any places of tension or holding. Letting go any thoughts once you become aware of them. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullah al-Azim. Astaghfirullahalazim. So dropping deeper now, the opening to Allah's forgiveness. If you feel a strong emotion come up at any time, or a place of tension or discomfort, let the words resonate and open that place in your heart or your body, so it can be released, softened, and opened more deeply, and to be washed in the sublime presence and filled with the light of love. Astaghfirullahalazim. Let's say it together now. Astaghfirullahalazim. 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 And dropping deeper again, opening more deeply. If you feel regret, just notice it. There's no need to hold on to it or to fix it. Just let it wash in its own time. Astaghfirullahalazim. 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 As you start to notice a place of regret or a sense of further spaciousness and opening in connection to Allah, and let your heart open more in gratitude to receive the gift of Allah's healing, Allah's forgiveness, Allah's mercy and love. Astaghfirullahalazim. 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 Allah. And if you feel moved, just from this quiet, deeper place in your heart, you can add a prayer for Allah's guidance in bringing you to peace with this person going forward together, for holding them in love and compassion rather than judgment, in honor and gratitude for what they've opened up for you in your journey, what they've been able to show you about your own heart, or for what they've reminded you through their reflecting Allah's divine qualities. So as you're ready, let the breath come deeper again. And take a minute or so to open your eyes. And just open your eyes again. Just notice what opened, what shifted in your heart, and how you hold that relationship. Just reflect back on the relationship now. What changed, what shifted, what softened. Okay. And what new insights came for you? What commitments you can make to not repeat the same mistake going forward. How you could make good any damage that was caused by your mistake. Okay. So good to note down any commitments that you make from that exercise. And, more broadly, I'd really invite you to apply something of what you've learned tonight in your life. So open to Allah's blessings and healings in your continuing journey. Make use of the Tawbah practice. Ideally, preferably as a daily practice, something you do just automatically. Just maybe repeating it 100 times. Doesn't have to be take more than a few minutes. And also use it whenever you feel in distress, you feel blocked or in difficulty over a relationship. Really go follow through these same steps, and including looking at the mirror to find what it is that needs to be cleaned in your heart, to do the work from your side, knowing that as your heart opens and cleans and lets go in gratitude for what you've learned from the experience, because of the intimate connection between you, the other person's heart will be freed as well, to whatever degree they're open to it. So for some, the issue will be completely gone that divided you. For others, no change. But that's not in your hand. The important part is that you do your part, you make good what you can of any damage that was done, and you move forward with your life in the best way you can. Okay? And so, it's techniques like this that we really spend time on in the courses at the University of Spiritual Healing and Sufism. So I want to invite you to find out more about the courses that are available, including the 4-year part-time degree course, Masters of Divinity, specializing in peacemaking or healing or ministry. And for the benefit of your own spiritual journey, or you can also use it as a professional qualification if you're in a healing profession or you wish to step into a healing profession or a peacemaking profession or ministry profession. But that can be just for your own walking. And the Master's program and also a range of free programs that I'll invite Mastura to be able to say something about the programs that are available, including the free teleclasses and e-courses that are available through SufiUniversity.org. And how to contact Donna Jamila and or Robert Mohammed for more information or resources about the courses that are available. Okay, so just if you haven't already, remember to write down the action commitments that you make that will help you apply or build on what you've learned tonight and take it into your life at home. So, Mastura, over to you. If you want to stop the recording now, or if you want to add something about information about resources.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and put that so it's on the recording so people have it, and then I'll stop the recording and get your questions ready. But also, as you're getting your questions ready, go ahead and take a note and write down these names. If you, just in case your question does not get answered tonight, we want to make sure that you have an opportunity to reach out and get that question answered. And if you have any questions about the programs that al-Qadir Davies mentioned, either the university degree program, the Masters of Divinity program, or any of the webinars or the upcoming free programs that we have, please reach out and contact. We have Donna Jamila. Donna Jamila. Jamila is J-A-M as in Mary, I-L-A. She can be reached by phone at 512-775-7126, and she's on the West Coast. So she's in the Pacific time zone, even though that's an Austin, Texas phone number. But she's at 512-775-7126, or email, if you prefer, is enrollment, ENROLLMENT, at SufiUniversity.org. Both of them have been involved with these programs for many, many years. They've walked deeply, and they really do know the teachings, and they're just beautiful at containing and holding you and helping you with whatever it is that your heart is needing.